stone structures built. This 1.5-story building contains a spacious center hall with 2 large rooms on each side. The attached kitchen forms an L. Fireplaces heated the lower level. The upper level has 4 rooms with windows that some say were intended as gun ports. They can be seen just above the porch line. The stone building has been called Custer House for many years, although General George Armstrong Custer was never actually stationed at Fort Dodge. He did lead the 7th Cavalry from here to the Battle of the Washita, an Indian battle fought south of the fort in Indian Territory. This 1-story building, completed in 1868, served as the post hospital. It provided a ward of 12 beds, a dispensary, and other support facilities. The health of the soldiers was surprisingly good, in spite of sanitation and personal hygiene problems. However, in 1867, soldiers marching from Missouri to New Mexico brought cholera to Kansas Fort. 30 cases occurred at Fort Dodge for 10 days in July of that year. 20 people died, including Mrs. Isadora Douglas, wife of the commanding officer of the post, Major Henry Douglas. The Major's tour as post commander was unusually trying, not only due to his personal tragedy, but also because of his responsibility for building permanent fort quarters and defending frontier with an inadequate number of troops. He resigned from the military shortly after he finished the assignment at Fort Dodge. The fort's library and museum are located in one of the remaining storehouses. 2 of the 130 by 30-foot structures were built in 1866, along with a bakery, were the first stone buildings to be completed on the fort's grounds. The north end of each storehouse were partitioned to provide offices for post headquarters and the quartermaster. Even though this structure has been covered with stucco, the door and window openings reveal original stone building material. The building across the street from the library to the north was built around 1900 and still serves as the Kansas Soldier Home Chapel. Work on the company barracks began in 1866, but was halted by a post quartermaster serving temporarily as the fort's commander. It was decided a storehouse was of prime importance because exposure to the weather destroyed a majority of the post supplies. The troops were then consigned to the dugouts on the riverbanks for more than 18 months. The dugouts flooded when it rained, and rattlesnakes were common throughout the muddy quarters. Finally, 3 barracks were completed, 2 built of stone and 1 of adobe. Each bunk held 4 soldiers, 2 up and 2 down, each sleeping in opposite direction, head to toe. Wells behind the buildings provided drinking water of excellent quality, while water for washing was carried from the Arkansas River located south of the fort. Lieutenant George Hesselberger's name, the post quartermaster in charge of construction, is engraved on the stone block above the north doorway of the former men's barracks. Hesselberger was honorably discharged from the Army in 1871. It is believed that he inherited a vast fortune from German relatives and was living in New York City as late as 1906. In the early 1930s, a Works Progress Administration, or WPA, project removed the adobe barracks and linked the 2 stone barrack buildings together. Both civilians and soldiers were buried at Fort Dodge's cemetery. Eventually, civilian bodies were moved to Dodge City's first official cemetery in 1879. The bodies of the military personnel were moved to Fort Leavenworth National Cemetery in 1886. Presently, the cemetery is part of the Kansas Soldiers' Home property. Buried here are veterans of 8 wars. The fort closed in October 1882. In 1889, the federal government allowed what remained of the military reservation and buildings to be purchased for $1.25 an acre by the state of Kansas.